Good afternoon. How's everyone doing? No. I'm sure you can do better than that. How's everyone doing? Much better, much better. Okay, this side, I think you're still asleep, but we'll wake you up in a little bit. So, welcome to the 4th Annual Independent English Debate. My name is Patty Bustamante, and I serve the district in the capacity of Division Director of Specialized Learning Services. Thank you for coming out to join us. It's going to be a great event. This afternoon, I would like to introduce to you our auxiliary debaters who have are prepared to step in at a moment's notice to argue the position of their team. Woo! Thank you, Tom. Watch your step. Come on this side. Come on this side. Thank you. Now I can see you're awake. Okay. So I have Carlos Rodriguez de la Cruz from Nimitz High School. Yameli Peña Ortiz of Irving High School. Mariana Zuniga of Irving High School. Damaris Romero from MacArthur High School. And Nathan Dimokenene of MacArthur High School. These students will lead us in the pledges.
Forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am honored to be here representing Irving High School. Please stay and join me to say the pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please keep a stand for the Texas pledges. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
And now for a moment of silence.
Colors. Post the colors.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the Thank you, many color, grade, and auxiliary debater for leading House dog pledges. At this time, I would like to introduce you to 3 very special scholars who completed in last week's debate. They will serve as today ambassador for the debate.
So the debaters from last year that will help us as ambassadors, they will be doing the presentation. Thank you. You can take your seats. So this is a student-led event, and we will have our student ambassadors who were debaters last year leading us through the whole event. So from Irving High School, please welcome Kenia Tobar. Thank you. From MacArthur High School, we have Shifra Shidibi. And from Nimitz High School, one of our previous debate champions, please welcome Giselle Cepeda Barragan.
We would like to welcome some special guests here today. Please stand and be recognized. Irving ISD Superintendent, Dr. Para. Any board members here today? Division and district directors who have joined us today. Coordinators. Gilbert Hernandez, Associate Director of the Department of Curriculum and Instruction, Texas A&M University Commerce. Principals from each high school. Nimitz, Curtis Mauricio. Irving, Ana Gomez. MacArthur, Dan Cummings. Faculty advisors at each high school. Nimitz, Susanna Huffman. Irving, John Boyle. MacArthur, Melanie Rhodes. Members of the community press from Nimitz, MacArthur, and Irving. And any parents and students who are here today. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you help me welcome our esteemed judges and moderators? Our first judge is Mr. Keith Luttrell. Keith loves to give people hope, encouragement, and courage through the gift of communication. He is a God believer, Christ follower, wife lover, family leader, and co-pastor. He prefers plain eminence that Pinot is fine. Also joining us today as an esteemed judge is Mr. Gray Butchamp. Co-pastor, promise maker, and storyteller. His worldwide work in aiding people to tell their story lends itself to helping others succeed on life stage. Gray is a husband, father, pastor, writer, mentor, golfer, hunter, listener, reader, and laugher. He prefers peanut eminence that plain is fine. Our next judge, Mrs. Fellner. Is one of the professional development coordinators in Irving ISD. She has worked in education for 10 years, serving in a variety of roles, but most of her time has been spent working with ESL students and teachers. She is currently finishing her doctorate work, which has an emphasis in bilingual and ESL education.
The judges panel is also served today by Dr. Anita de la Isla, Her career in education began as a bilingual teacher, moving to serve Irving ISD as a bilingual ESL coordinator before joining Irving ISD Professional and Digital Development Department. Another special guest serving as a judge today is Mr. Fernando Natividad. Mr. Natividad is the Irving ISD Director of State and Federal Programs. It is his 70th year in education. He was born and raised in Mexico. He earned 2 master's degrees in the USA. An interesting fact about him, he is a youngest of 9 siblings. Serving as an additional esteemed judge today is Dr. Esther Garza. Dr. Garza is an associate professor. Dr. Garza is an associate professor of bilingual ESL education of Texas Wesleyan University. She was an elementary bilingual ESL teacher for over 10 years and has been serving in higher education, preparing and working with teachers for the last 15 years. Lastly, but certainly not least, our final judge serves as host of Ultra Honda Univision 23, Mr. Sonia Salas.
Our moderator this morning is a multi-talented teacher who has served Irving ISD for 12 years in many challenging capacities. She is currently working at Austin Middle School as a teen leadership and IB teacher. This is her 4th year to serve as moderator for the Independent English Debate. Please welcome Ms. Teresa Spencer.
Thank you, ambassadors, for your warm words and welcome. So without further ado, please meet today's debaters. The debate this afternoon is not in the traditional debate format. It's been modified to allow competitors from multiple teams to compete with one another at the same time. This event began at the classroom level with over 200 students competing against each other. Classroom winners were selected to compete in a campus-wide debate, and the top 5 students from each campus are represented before you today. I want to challenge the audience members to think back to when you graduated from high school. What was your biggest challenge? Now think about how the world has changed over that time. How would your experience have changed if it were your first year in a new country, learning a new language? Each student sitting here before you has been in the United States for less than 1 year. For them, the struggle of being freshmen while attempting to learn both content and a new language is very real, yet they are determined. While they are not always recognized, today we allow our ESL newcomer voices to be heard through a debate. Not just to present problems, but to present real issues backed with data and paired with solutions. This debate is meant to open the dialogue between generations and cultures with a common goal of making Irving ISD a better place for all of us. The topic for our debate this afternoon is, what is the greatest challenge facing graduating immigrant students in Irving ISD? During the debate, Irving High School will be arguing that lack of education is the reason. MacArthur High School will be arguing that lack of support is the reason. And Nimitz High School will argue that the problem is adapting to a new culture. The first speaker from each school will present the problem. Our first speaker from Nimitz High School is Juan Burgos. Juan is from El Salvador. He has been in the United States for 6 months, and his future plans are to work in the medical field.
Good afternoon. If you had to define humanity in one word, it will be culture. Imagine the terror of being in a new place. Everything around you, everything you saw, you read, and heard, was a mystery you don't know how to solve. All the while, just wishing to be in the comfortable reality of your own culture, even if it was unsafe or violent, is the only culture you know. That's how we immigrants feel. It's like being on another planet. This is why we believe the biggest challenge facing immigrants to graduate is cultural adaptation. The customs, attitudes, and ways of life in the U.S. school are extremely different than in our countries. When we come here, we need to get accustomed to everything, from major things like language and laws, down to the seemingly minor things like the food and school schedules. Adapting to a new culture can feel impossible. We asked all the students in independent English class what was the most difficult thing to adapt in the U.S., and the number one response was school schedules. Well, this might not seem like a big deal to some. Remember that for teenagers, school is where they spend a majority of their time. This is where they learn to adapt to a new culture. It's clear that in order to help immigrant students adapt, we must begin with the schools. And for me, personally, when I came to Nimitz on my first day, somebody showed me all my classrooms and all 8 of my teachers. That made me feel very stressed because in El Salvador, I had only 2 or 3 teachers. One day, I was scared when I was not able to find my classroom because I only had to be at the school for 2 days. In most Latin American countries, schools are not nearly as big as they are here. On top of all of that, the classrooms here are huge. There are thousands of people in the hallways and even more at the lunch. In the cafeteria, it is just intimidating. It is so easy to feel lost, confused, lonely, and like everyone forgot about you. And that is our first impression of life in the United States. A lot of immigrant students drop out after only a year or 2. According to a study by the National Conference of State Legislatures, dropout rates are significantly higher for immigrants. The study also says that immigrant teens face unique challenges other than language proficiency, like cultural and social adaptation and poverty. New immigrant teenagers have a very limited time to learn English, study the required material for a state test, and catch up to their native English-speaking peers before graduation. To put it simply, being an immigrant in a school is exhausting, and if we don't do more to help immigrant students adapt, they will be part of that statistic of immigrants dropout. Finally, we believe the biggest challenge is cultural adaptation, because we know it, we live it, our families and friends live it, and we know we can do better to change it. Thank you.
Our first speaker from Irving High School is Nabil Velasquez Gonzalez. Nabil is from Honduras. He has been in the United States for 8 months, and his future plans are to become a fashion designer.
Good morning. Today, we are here to discuss the problems due to lack of education. Students who have parents that are not involved in their children's education may feel like dropping out. Why? Because every child needs support, motivation, and applause, especially from mom and dad. Today, you as students may not live with your mom and dad, and you feel like dropping out. And some of you think education is expensive. But let me tell you something. The only thing more expensive than education is ignorance. Nah, I did not call you ignorant. I call you to be better. People who lack in their education, they are more apt to not take care of themselves because they are less educated about health and resources. Today, listen to the words of a great musician, Bob Marley. He say, "Get up and stand up." But I say, get up and stand up. Stand up for your right of education. Education is the right of every man and every woman in this world. Girls, let me ask you something. Do you know the girl that was shot in the head in Pakistan? Yes. She say, and you must be agree with her, a pen, a book, a child, and a professor can change the world. Education is the only solution. Let me ask you something. Do you want to make a change in this world? Well, Mahatma Gandhi say, you must be the change you wish to see in this world. Boys, do you like weapons? Well, Nelson Mandela tells us, education is the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world. Not guns like the games, not knives like the Capulets. Book, knowledge, not bombs. My last word of wisdom to you, my fellow friends. We need to live like if we were going to die tomorrow. And we need to learn like if we were going to live forever. Education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. Thank you.
Our first speaker from MacArthur High School is Byron Telator. Byron is from Guatemala. He has been in the United States for 8 months, and his future plans are to become a doctor.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to speak here today. The greatest challenge facing graduating immigrant students of Irving ISD is lack of support. Examples of this would be the lack of home and school support. Lack of home support is a great challenge because immigrant parents often work multiple jobs to support their family's needs, which takes the time available to supervise the children or assist with their school needs or activities. Or these parents may be left behind the home country, but because they want better opportunities for their children, they send them to the US to study. It is common knowledge that the United States of America has long been thought of as the land of opportunity, and no opportunity is greater than that of a college education. Research shows that college graduates will earn 66% more during their career than a high school graduate. And more education leads to higher rates of employment and lower rates of dependence on public programs. We have graduating immigrant students who are on their own in US schools. And we are not even just talking about undocumented students, immigrants here. Let me give you an example. One of the graduating immigrant students we interviewed was Munila. Munila is from Rwanda. Her parents were not able to give her the support needed because they were not able to get the support from the home country. And when they migrated to the US, They were forced to work in order to support their families. Munira said that she badly needed school support, so she looked at the school for help, because it was the only place she knew that has people who can help her to go further with her education after high school. She wants to be a doctor one day. However, she said that the only support she got from the school was the few senior meetings they had, when what she truly needs are information from teachers and staff to guide her how and where to access educational opportunities after high school. She wished they were giving information since their freshman year on required GPAs, volunteer hours, scholarships, colleges, and other post-high school education opportunities. She's only one of the so many graduating immigrants with the same weird challenge because of lack of home support. Another reason why lack of support is the biggest challenge is because of lack of school support. For example, immigrant parents want to help their children to find educational opportunities after high school. But if they lack knowledge how to access these educational opportunities, the school needs to help and train them so they can help the children in return. What do we mean by this? For example, even if immigrant parents were educated in their home countries, they are not familiar with the U.S. educational system and educational resources here. It is even made worse if, like American youth whose parents have no college experience and they come from low-income backgrounds. Many immigrants and their children face the great challenge of even getting their children's foot on the door for higher education. It is very important that the district and the schools provide opportunity for parents, guardians, teachers, and staff, not just the consular, on how to help these graduating immigrants access to higher education. One concrete example is the story of Aliyah, a graduating immigrant. Aliyah was from India. Her parents were educated, but when they arrived to the United States, they got very busy working to put food on the table. She said that they almost had no involvement in their kids' school anymore. They never came to any of Aliyah's parent-teacher conferences. Aliyah faced challenges in school like what immigrants usually get being new to this country. But she was able to overcome them. As a senior now and an honor student, she said that schools provide good education, but greatly lack support from graduating immigrants like her. She said that students like her did not have lack of plan to go to college because they were not taught very well about college requirements of application, neither by parents, school staff, until the senior year. She wishes that school staff in general, not only consular, inform her about to access post-secondary education opportunities and how she should have prepared for it starting her freshman year, because she could have done better. Because of this, Aliyah never learned why doing great in high school is important. Aliyah today has a scholarship to Texas University because she had a head start from a college advisor who in her junior year helped her to figure out how to get there. Lack of access to financial and scholarships due to lack of support from a school will keep graduating immigrants from finding post-secondary education opportunities. If these graduating immigrants are not thinking, if these graduating immigrants enroll in college with all financial aid, they must long work hours, taking away from the time they can spend on schoolwork. Not only do this challenge decrease their ability to attend school continuously or full-time, they also affect their ability to perform well in school, compared to their peers who do not face this challenge. If these students are not thinking of getting bachelor's degrees, they need support to understand other options, such as online programs, 2-year colleges, technical or trade school. Home and school support are greatly needed by graduating immigrants, and something must be done about it now. Because graduation date is only 17 days away, parents, guardians, teachers, and staff must be trained so they are able to give support to these students if they are not able to get the support from home. For the reasons I explained, it is very clear that the greatest challenge facing graduating immigrant students of Irving ISD is lack of support. Thank you.
The second debater from each school will present data to support the resolutions. From Nimitz High School, Monsi Chavarria. Monsi is from El Salvador. She has been in the United States for 8 months, and her future plans are to go to college and study nutrition.
When you arrive in a new country for the first time, you feel like an alien from another planet. You don't understand anything, and not just the language, no friends, the food is beer, the big cities, and buildings. Adapting to a new culture can make a person feel hopeless. That is why we found some evidence to support our opinion that the biggest challenge for immigrants to graduate is cultural adaptation. According to an NEMEC survey of more than 250 faculty members, about 75% said that the cultural integration is a biggest challenge for immigrants. Clearly, most people agree with us. Furthermore, when asked about what was difficult to adapt to a U.S. school, the most common response was the schedule. According to a study by Journal of Political Economy, immigrants may arrive with a strong desire to assimilate, but with little knowledge about how to effectively do so. Considering that the most common issue is about school, we must directly teach immigrants assimilation and adaptation techniques. Harvard sociology Meriwether said, cultural integration is a multi-generational process. She said that the success in school in a new country increases with each generation. This is just common sense. But where does that leave us? The newly immigrated students? Should we just accept that maybe only our kids or grandkids might go to college, or even graduate high school? We need to address the new immigrants in Irving and communicate with them how to apply to college, how to get financial aid, loans, and scholarships. According to Christina Windows, NEMEC's counselors, immigrants are completely unaware of the process of applying to college. So, sure, counselors help with college already, but immigrants need special help to adapt to the academic environment that say we should go to college. In my country, El Salvador, it's extremely difficult to go to college. Even when you go to college, it's almost impossible to find a good job. So many people say, what's the point? In the US, we're expected to dream big and attend college. So while counselors and teachers can guide us through the process of college and scholarships, we need to completely change our mindset about our future. Finally, the last piece of evidence that showed the urgency of the problem of cultural adaptation. Joaquin Luna was only 18, the senior in Mission, Texas, dreamed of going to college. But since he was an immigrant, he believed that was impossible. In 2011, he committed suicide. He left a note describing the pressure and strain that prevented him from achieving his dream to become an engineer. No doubt, he was also dealing with the daily struggle of adapting to a new academic culture. Now that you have heard the evidence, you should definitely agree that the biggest challenge for immigrants to graduate is cultural adaptation. Thank you.
Our second speaker from Irving High School is Emilio Padilla. Emilio is from Mexico. He has been in the United States for 8 months, and his future plans are to study business at a university.
Wait. Hi? Okay. The only thing that interferes with my learning is my education. Albert Einstein. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Do y'all know why so many people drop out of school? Today, we are together to discuss something important, education. The lack of education has been common sense a long time ago. This is why we are trying to make an impact. The modern world needs more people with higher education so poverty, ignorance, and crime decrease. The statistics of people dropping out of school are high, so I'm going to give you some facts about this conflict. Did you know, according to the website DoSomething.org, every year over 1.2 million students drop out of high school in the United States? That's one student every 26 seconds. Maybe just a student drop out of school. 7,000 a day? That's a lot. We have surveyed 121 students and teachers from Irving High, and we have come up with the following data. The majority of respondents are between the ages of 16 and 17 years old, freshmen. The majority are from El Salvador, some from Honduras, Mexico, Guatemala, Cuba, Vietnam, Venezuela, Nicaragua, among others. The 80% of respondents' philosophy of education is, education can help a person to get a better paying job and more money to sustain their family. Also, it says, it can help a person to achieve their own dreams. Financial problems have a very high effect on refreshment, participation, and education. Our study shows the respondents' perspective. An overwhelming majority of 77% respondents say that people who lack education are more likely to commit crimes, consume drugs, and experience financial problems. When it came to reasons why even freshmen face the difficult problem of lack of education, respondents had different opinions as the trend came out. About 27% say that lack of family support or involvement is a reason why students lack education. About 80% of the respondents suggest that the solution to lack of education is to stay in school and even attend to adult classes. Thanks.
Our second speaker from MacArthur High School is Ariana Jacques. Ariana is from Mexico. She has been in the United States for 8 months and plans to be a heart surgeon or a Border Patrol agent.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to speak here today. We believe that the biggest challenge facing graduating immigrants in Irving ISD is lack of support. This is a resolution for this fundamental reason. First, there is lack of home or parental support because of the lack of knowledge of American school system and time constraint due to work and family responsibilities. Now, allow me to explain my first point. Research shows that 86% of the general public believe that support from parents is the most important way to improve school and student achievements. Research also shows that education is high valued among immigrant parents for children because they tend to may not have the same opportunity in native countries. Studies find that compared to US-born, foreign-born parents are less likely to visit their children's school, participate, or attend school, help with homework, and talk to teachers, staff. But does it mean that they do not care about their children's education? No. In fact, a study shows that immigrant parents see education as a means to making it in the United States. For example, they feel successful when they have a good paying job and being able to navigate U.S. system. Parents parents want to show support in their children's education, but immigrants may be unfamiliar with how the U.S. school system works and the concept of parents involvement. According to 2006 American Community Survey data, 26% of children of immigrants compared with only 8% of those with native-born parents. Life in families where no parent had completed high school or equivalent. Almost half of Mexican origin, you have parents with no high school degree. Also, it is a fact that school systems differ around the world and in many different countries. Parents' involvement is not expected. So, these are some reasons why there is lack of home support for graduating immigrants. Second, there is an urgent and great need for a school to educate and train teachers, staff, and parents on specific information on how to help so they can effectively guide graduating immigrants to opportunities for secondary education. For my second argument, please consider the following evidence. We surveyed graduating immigrants at MacArthur. Results showed 15% that their great challenge is lack of education. Results also showed that 26% believe that the greatest challenge is lack of cultural adaptation. Finally, 59% say the greatest challenge facing graduating immigrants is the lack of support. Another evidence is according to INFIRS, a non-profit organization. Many graduating immigrants are coming from a situation where no one around them has the experience of successful completing higher education. So they're graduating but questioning themselves about what to do after graduation. This is why they turn to the school for the support they cannot get from home because of different reasons. And now, I will move into a discussion of our finally convincing point that prove why lack of support is the greatest challenge facing even graduating immigrants. The latest national data shows that more students are getting their high school diplomas, but that does not mean more kids are going to college. Georgetown University's research shows that a key obstacle to getting more high school graduating enrolled in college is limited information because post-secondary education in the U.S. is like a big computer with no operating system. In addition, in 2014, INFIRS, an organization that aims to reach out to immigrant students, concluded that graduating immigrant students lack information and support to help students think bigger and broader. They need access to good information on higher education so they are not lost after graduation. For the reason I explained it, it's very clear, shows the lack of support in the greatest challenge facing graduating immigrants of Irving ISD. Thank you.
The third debater from each school will present solutions to this problem. Our third speaker from Nimitz High School is Maria Gutierrez Castanuela. Maria is from Mexico. She has been in the United States for 8 months, and her future plans are to go to college and study social work.
During a recent Irving ISD board meeting, trustees noted that the district is committed to ensuring that every student develops the enduring knowledge, skills, and character to thrive in a changing world and providing a safe environment that will help students reach their maximum potential. Obviously, the board is committed to help students adapt to U.S. culture. I am so happy to see you here today. Board members, I would like to invite you to my school and my classroom. I would like to meet you so we can connect and help me adapt to this culture. However, it is often challenging for us to adapt to U.S. culture because we are surrounded by students who speak the same language and live in a community where there are plenty of businesses that are very similar to our home countries. Therefore, I think we should go on field trips more in order to think, because we are surrounded and to become accustomed to life in the United States. And I promise, I'm not just saying that because I want to get out of my class. In addition, we believe that the school should incorporate more about U.S. culture in classes. We can do this while also learning in our English classes or in social studies. For example, the little turkey you interact with your hand at Thanksgiving, we don't know anything about that. We don't know basic American history, which doesn't prepare us for U.S. history in 11th grade, which is a star-tested subject. Senior Swami Diaz, who also came as an immigrant, said that he had no idea what to do when his English teacher asked him to write about the American dream. As you can see, cultural adaptation directly affects our schoolwork, which can affect graduation rates. In order to think of solutions to help students adapt, we asked all students in independent English to name what was difficult to adapt to when arriving in new schools. Almost all the students mentioned the schedule. In many Latin American countries, schools are much smaller. The students don't move classroom to classroom. The teachers move, and it's very hard to learn our way around these big, huge buildings. We need a freshman orientation, specifically for immigrant students and their parents. We want them to know that failing to adapt to a new culture can have terrible consequences, such as dropping out of college or high school. Finally, we know that failing to adapt to a new culture can have terrible consequences. The best thing that Irving ISD can do for immigrants is make us feel welcome, safe, and confident. New immigrant students are forgetting too much, and ESL students make about 40% of the population. Please, if you care about Irving, you need to care about developing for the future of our immigrant students. Thank you.
Our third speaker from Irving High School is Luz Vendel Oviedo. Luz is from Honduras. She has been in the United States for 7 months, and she plans to go to medical school and become a doctor.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. As well, I know education is the most important thing in life, and also the solution to our problems. Survive. Show that getting education gives everyone a better opportunity for a job and have a better life. People with lower education and lower IQ are most likely to end up in prison. And these are why short of giving should not be a problem for any of you who want to sue. In this country, everyone has the opportunity and the right in education. With this being said, there should be any excuse to why lack education shown by a team, because this country has given you everything. We need to get the knowledge, we need to become someone. My mother always told me that I had the best blessing to be in this country for the opportunities without education. We will still be living like barbarian and cavemen, with no civilization even to allows me. Change. I know this country without any education. I am giving, and that's something that makes me want to strive for more. Highest Honduran girl, I am thankful to this country for opening doors for me and giving me all opportunities. I am here to become someone. I think all the knowledge I am here to show all I want is something. I am here to set goals and overcome. I am to giving this something for all is giving me. Thank you.
Our third speaker from MacArthur High School is Angel Amaro. Angel is from Mexico. He's been in the United States for 8 months, and his future plans are to become an industrial engineer.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to speak here today. The lack of support from home and school can cause graduating immigrants to lose opportunities of a better future and lose their chances at the scholarships, internships, college, and other post-secondary opportunities. The following are the solution for this problem. First, many immigrants do not make it to colleges, but this can be prevented. If the freshman class was educated about how important college is and how important it is to self-motivate themselves to do good in school, freshmen need to be made aware that they are almost going into the real world. Teachers and staff need to be involved into letting them know this. They must give freshman immigrants all tools and information about future plans and follow up every semester until their senior year. They need to understand that starting freshman year, it is very important to have a high GPA, good behavior, volunteer hours, and extracurricular activities. These are not only required to apply for colleges, but also for financial aids and scholarships. Second, hold more meetings for every grade level to help them plan for a better future. Invite successful immigrants to be a speaker who was in the same situation as them. If the freshman immigrants can start with a solid mindset, then they will finish strong. Third, for seniors graduating without a plan, life can be stressful. Bring speakers who struggle through high school, who are immigrants but overcome obstacles like new language, cultural shock, and poverty. They can talk about how they got information on how to get into colleges. Also, invite the speaker immigrants who did not go to college, but avail of other after high school education opportunities. For those who are not planning to go to colleges or universities, but want to do other education option after high school. One graduating immigrant told us that her parents were not able to give her the support she needed because they didn't have education, and when they migrated to the US, they had to work a lot to support the family. So she was dependent on the school for support as she is graduating. But the only support she remembers was a few seniors meetings they had, which did not have much about how to access education opportunities after graduation. Fourth, for graduating immigrants who have parents who are here and who really want to support but do not know how to support their children, Irving ISD can create a parent's guide and invite the parents to come to school to explain it to them. For example, in Maryland, a school district created a parent's guide called Navigating the System in English, Spanish, French, Korean, Chinese, with Vietnamese coming soon. Topics include enrollment, graduation requirements, opportunities for parent involvement, instruction, special programs, school safety and security, and services for students and parents. For seniors, they should include educational opportunities after high school. How and where to access financial assistance and scholarships for college, and also train them how to navigate the system. Fifth, the district should also develop a training program for all teachers, not only the counselors, to gain skills to teach these immigrant graduating students how to access the different education opportunities, financial aids, and scholarships, that may be available for all graduating immigrants, whether documented or undocumented. Legally, kindergarten to grade 12 school personnel cannot inquire about the immigration status of students or their parents, so the teachers and the staff may learn that a student is undocumented only if the student chooses to share this information. Undocumented students may not even be aware of their legal status. What can the schools do for this issue? Teachers and staff must reach out as early as possible to all the students, starting their freshman year, and encourage them to envision themselves as college material, explore career options, and prepare for college. If the opportunity comes, let the students know that undocumented status is not always a challenge to attend a U.S. college. Also, explain the requirements for federal financial aid when discussing financial aid at parent meetings. You can explain financial aid policies and options to parents and students without asking about their immigration status. Finally, the teachers and staff must also know our state's laws about undocumented students and stay up to date on changes in the laws. Did you know that 5 states, California, New Mexico, Minnesota, Texas, and Washington offer state financial assistance to undocumented students? Also, several states, including Utah, allow public universities to use private sources of funding to support financial aid to undocumented immigrant students. For these reasons, Irving ISD must consider our solutions to help graduating immigrants overcome the greatest challenge that they are facing: lack of support. If this challenge is overcome, they can take the right direction, leading to their future plans like college or other post-high school education opportunities. Thank you.
As we welcome our debaters back to the stage for their final rounds, let's give Ms. Sonder and the MacArthur Orchestra a huge round of applause.
After reviewing the problems, data, and solutions presented before them, our next speakers have spent the last 10 minutes creating their rebuttals. Our fourth speaker from Nimitz High School is Mauricio Garcia Reyes. Mauricio is from Mexico. He has been in the United States for 7 months, and he plans to go to college to study engineering.
Cultural adaptation is definitely a bigger challenge than lack of support and lack of education. According to Irving High School, lack of education is the biggest challenge because research shows that proficiency in your first language is directly related to proficiency in your second one. Yes, that's true, but cultural adaptation affects more people in more ways. That is why we disagree. According to head counselor Jennifer Todd, out of the 88 students that enrolled Nimitz High School this year that came out of the country, only 33 of those students reported a lack of education. Yes, it affects many students, and it's very alarming. And we agree that helping these students is crucial. However, when you look at the numbers, cultural adaptation is a big issue for all 88 new immigrant students this year. To provide more evidence, we also surveyed immigrant graduates, and 75% of them also reported adapting to a new culture as the biggest challenge for immigrants. So, although lack of education is a huge problem for a lot of students, remember that Irving ISD offers the Newcomer Academy to fill in the gaps of students missing education. And those students will certainly have difficulties adapting to a new culture. Clearly, we can see that cultural adaptation has a bigger impact than lack of education. MacArthur says that lack of support is the biggest challenge because we don't have enough resources to assist immigrants. In my own experience, I had plenty of support when I came here. Irving ISD offers an ESL program for us, many ESL aids to help us in classes. Bilingual students are often with us to translate. That was really helpful. We never had support like that in Mexico. In addition, there's also a program called Communities in Schools to help students in poverty. We even have a program for pregnant and parenting students. So it's not that immigrants don't have support, it's that they haven't adapted to a culture where there are many resources. Also remember that the numbers showed that the vast majority of people, 75%, said that cultural adaptation is a bigger challenge than lack of support and lack of education. In fact, I think it's safe to say that it's not the lack of support, but rather that we haven't adapted to the amount of resources we have available in Irving. So, the obstacle of cultural adaptation affects every student that comes to the United States, and it's very severe. Coupled with the numbers display that more people agree with us about the biggest challenge is cultural adaptation. As can be seen, the issue is not lack of support or lack of education. It's that they need to adapt to the amount of resources. It's not that the support is not there. Given these points, I will conclude with a little reflection. Failure to adapt to a culture can lead to loneliness, psychological problems, and an intense fear to school. This will affect schoolwork and eventually graduation rates. The topic today is what is the biggest challenge for immigrants to graduate? Since our evidence proves that most immigrants agree with us, you should agree too. The problem we must do the most to solve is cultural adaptation. Thank you.
Our fourth speaker from Irving High School is Jose Martinez Ayala. Jose is from El Salvador. He has been in the United States for 11 months, and his future plans are to become an engineer.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for today is what is the greatest challenge facing graduating immigrant students in Irving ISD? Nimitz talked about how adapting to a new culture is a major problem. They say, you feel weird to be in the school, or you feel confused. Maybe, if you can't get a new culture, this will be difficult to be in the country, but the education can help you. Adapting to a new culture, like learn a new language, this will be a little bit hard, but you know, every man have a big brain, and this is not impossible. This is going to take like 1 or 2 years. I can tell, they are not right. This is just the beginning. Then you're going to feel normally. Another problem that MacArthur says is how the lack of support is a bigger challenge. Thank you, MacArthur, for support our idea, because they say that college is important, and thought about the importance of having a high GPA. They say if you have a good support, get an education will be hard. But surprise, now you are in America. In America, you can have a steal and get an education. Public education is free in the United States. You don't have to have a big support to that. Our survey shows how the majority know that one person who loves education will most likely start to cry, concern drop, and then have financial problems. The education is almost the solution for everything. One example, the education is the solution for poverty, gangs, and financial problems. Another is that if you don't get an education, find a job will be hard. And I know some of you don't want to be in the construction. Some of you want to be a lawyer, a doctor, a secretary. We are young. We had many opportunities. I know some of you feel that you are trying hard. You feel difficult at school. But you will go to the world. Yes, you will make money. But if you go to the world, leave the school, pass all the day under the sun, I can tell you, this is not nice. In other words, a big problem is that some families don't take care about their children. Besides, they make them go to the work, help to the expenses of the house. Another is that some students are lazy and don't take care about it. They don't appreciate what their parents is doing for them. They don't know how many kids want to get an education. This is sad, but it's the truth. A lot of kids want to get an education, but they just can't come to the school like me or you. They have problems. In the news, I saw a history about a Jew and a criminal. They were classmates on the kindergarten. Then, years later, he started crying. This means you choose your own future, the good road or the bad road. It doesn't matter if you are the best or you are not the best. Nobody can tell you what you have to do or what you have to be. I just say, if I want some better, I have to look for that. And just think, if you want a better future, make it. Make it with education. Thank you.
Our fourth speaker from MacArthur High School is Bibi Yar. Bibi is from Afghanistan. She has been in the United States for 1 year, and she plans to go to college to become a doctor.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for letting me speak today. I congratulate to the other teams for their all hard works. To elaborate, those in the Irving High School say that lack of education is the biggest problem facing graduating immigrants of Irving ISD. But I respectfully disagree. Because there are programs in Irving to help with this problem. For example, the solution for lack of education by graduating immigrants already being implemented in Irving ISD are: first, there is the Newcomer Academy. A newcomer program provides intensive language development and academic and cultural orientation, which immigrants get starting freshman year. Secondly, Irving ISD has an ESL program for immigrant students to support their language proficiency, and teachers are given training throughout the school year how to teach ESL or shuttled students effectively. Thirdly, ESL tutoring and counseling are provided by teachers and staff to immigrant students who need more practice and guidance to succeed in their academic learning before or after school, or on district-approved weekend tutorings. In addition, we also have trained ESL specialists to assist teachers. For example, in literacy, special education, and ESL, so they can prepare immigrants for passing STAR and graduate high school. Finally, lack of language or education is not the greatest problem facing graduating immigrants because research showed that among recent immigrants from non-English speaking countries, 47% report that they speak English well or very well within about 2 years after arrival. The percentage with those with high proficiency increases steadily with the length of residence and among immigrants with long-term residence. Only 3% report speaking English not well or not at all. Therefore, lack of education is not the greatest challenge facing Irving graduating immigrants. Nimitz High School also said that the greatest challenge facing Irving graduating immigrant students is lack of cultural adaptation. That may be true, but we disagree. Because first, in Irving ISD, students and staff are made aware of the value of accepting different cultures and appreciating diversity of each other. For example, at MacArthur, there is a multicultural club, Journeys. It is a student organization that tries to provide an environment for members, immigrant or non-immigrant, to make them feel that they belong to a school community. The organization provides opportunities for members to participate in community projects, share personal academic and cultural experience that they overcame, and provide support for ESL students who may not feel that they belong. The club also offers tutoring, multicultural fairs, and campus visits. Secondly, non-immigrant students and staff are also given opportunities to develop multicultural understanding and acceptance by providing training for staff. For example, teachers and staff are required to attend training on cultural IQ, but there is never a training for teachers on how they can guides graduating immigrants how and where to access support for post-secondary education opportunities. Counselors assist the students, but teachers are the ones who are mostly with these students, so they need to be trained. Also, at least know which resources to point the students so they can access education opportunities after high school. Finally, lack of cultural adaptation is not the greatest challenge facing Irving graduating immigrants because research shows that many immigrants gather together or socialize and share knowledge with people from other cultures. For example, immigrants also get opportunities to learn how to adapt to the other cultures. When they share the language, food, religion, tradition, music, and other cultural traditions and value in social situations. These can include parks, language classes for immigrants, parties, restaurants, groceries, churches, and other social situations. But they lack necessary information on post-secondary education opportunities. Finally, we believe lack of support is the reason because look around us. Today we have invited parents and people from the district. They still have education and they can adapt to this country. But we cannot make them be presented to support us. Because of the reasons and evidences we presented, it is very clear that the greatest challenge facing graduating immigrants of Irving ISD is lack of support. Thank you.
Our last debater from each school will present their concluding statements. Our last speaker from Nimitz High School is Leonardo Navas Varela. Leo is from Honduras. He has been in the United States for 1 year, and his favorite subject is PE.
We have here the proof that cultural adaptation is the biggest challenge for immigrants to graduate. This serious issue affects students emotionally and academically. Remember that according to a survey of more than 250 people, 75% say that cultural adaptation is a bigger challenge than lack of support and lack of education. 75%. Irving High School said that lack of education is the biggest challenge because it affects a large number of students. However, let's remember that only 6% of faculty and immigrant students said that lack of education was the biggest challenge in our survey. Yet only 33 students went to the Newcomers Academy this year due to lack of education. Furthermore, recall that we have many resources available to support these students. In my own experience, when I arrived in this country, I had many things to adapt to, things like technology, food, and learning who I could trust. For example, in Honduras, technology is almost non-existent in schools. We share one computer once a week. In Irving, we use computers every day. In Honduras, we use cell phones just to communicate, but here, we also use them to learn. In Honduras, you are at risk of being robbed or worse. People take it for granted that immigrants all know how to use technology and live in a safe environment. Even trusting people is different because some people look at you strange for being different from them. MacArthur High School said that lack of support is the biggest challenge because immigrants don't have enough of it in schools. Sure, we could always use more support in schools, but it's important to remember that the most students in our survey did not report a lack of support at school. For students lacking support at home, we agree that the problem can be serious, but it is not the biggest challenge when you compare to adapting a new culture. I would like to finish with a poem that we found posted on the internet by an anonymous user. The sentiments in this poem express why we believe that the biggest challenge facing immigrants is cultural adaptation. Being an immigrant is like acting. You are not from here, and you no longer belong there. You try to be from here, but you sound like you are from there. Being an immigrant is being a label, a knockoff of the real deal. Being an immigrant is being labeled a traitor by those that remain there. Being an immigrant is loneliness here and there. Thank you.
Our fifth speaker from Irving High School is Yami Benitez. Yami is from Guatemala. She has been in the United States for 1 year. She plans to go to college and medical school to become an anesthesiologist.
Good afternoon. Today I'm here to conclude our topic, which is lack of education. Lack of education has always been one of the biggest problems in the world. I have education, but I feel really worried about the people who don't have education. In my school, Irving High School, I be hearing that students leave school because they are involved in selling drugs. Today, I will tell you a story of one of my family members. When he was 15 or 16 years old, he left school because he was involved in selling drugs. And because his girlfriend got pregnant, he didn't attend to school for like 2 years. For this reason, he didn't graduate at the same time as his classmates. I remember when I was a little girl, I dreamed that my brother would become a businessman and a good father for his future children. He had the opportunity to graduate from high school until he was 21 years old. The good thing is that he graduated. Let's make a different future together through education. Education is necessary for every human being. Like Malcolm X said, education is our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. This means that with education, you can be whoever you want. Education is our passport to become a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, or any other professional. And this goes along with what Tibetan proverb said, a child without education is like a bird without wings. We need to be educated so we can survive and succeed. My classmate Nabil said that lack of education is mainly caused by criminal gangs, alcohol, drugs, and financial problems. Based on the data, 1.2 million high school students don't graduate on time yearly, and only 1 out of 4 students get to graduate from high school. But we have solutions. Instead of buying a gun, we can buy a book to improve our lives. Like Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Buying a gun just generates violence, and this generates lack of education. What would be a better way to use the money? Building a wall in the south of Texas or building schools? Thank you.
Our concluding speaker from MacArthur High School is Sabrine Alamin. Sabrine is from Sudan. She has been in the United States 1 year, and her future plans are to go to college and become a dentist.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for sharing your information. We have heard the arguments from Irving and Nimitz High Schools. Thank you for sharing those. We agree that Irving's graduating immigrants are facing the challenge of lack of education and lack of cultural adaptation. But we believe that the greatest challenge that they are facing is lack of support. And let me tell you why. Lack of education and lack of cultural adaptation are both continuing processes. And graduating immigrants are getting endless opportunities to progress on both. For example, research shows that many immigrants gather together and share knowledge with other cultures, not only in schools, but also in churches, stores, parks, language classes for immigrants, parties, and other social situations. Also, take my personal example. When I came to Texas last summer, I didn't know any word in English. I only knew the alphabet because I only spoke Arabic. It is my native language. But I made it my goal to learn English and be very good in all my classes. And now I speak English like 70% accurate for real. My next goal is, after 1 year, I will be speaking and writing like a native speaker of English. I am not just learning English in school. I also learn English and other people's cultures when I go to the restaurants, parks, stores, or parties. I talk with them in English and show interest about their culture. I also share with them my culture. I am confident that I have a good understanding of others' cultures because of my interactions with people from different places and situations. Why are we saying the lack of support is the greatest challenge? The answer is clear as the day in Texas summer. It is because these immigrants are graduating soon, not later. In fact, they are graduating in 17 days. Yes, it is just 17 days. Irving graduating immigrants need support now, but immigrant parents also need information about helping their children access post-high school education. The college application process may be a new experience for many immigrants' parents who did not attend college in the United States. College is highly valued, but they may have no idea how to help their children to prepare for college and how to apply to be accepted to college. In addition, immigrant parents need information about helping their children complete college applications and finding ways to finance a college application. They may be unfamiliar with what is needed from them. In the process of applying for financial aid, such as employment and tax return information. If they cannot get home support for different reasons, then the school, their teachers and staff must be able to give them support. To give you a very clear idea why the greatest challenge facing immigrants is lack of support, let me tell you the story of Jose. Jose is 17 years old. He was born in California, but he was in Mexico till he was 16. Then his parents sent him to Texas to live with his cousins so he can have better opportunities here, especially in education. However, those cousins treated him like Cinderella, and he was not sent to school. He was working as a slave in his cousin's home, and at the same time at Whataburger, when an adult worker informed him that he can actually go to school and it will be easy for him to enroll since he was documented. So he walked to MacArthur, enrolled himself, still served his cousins, and worked at the same time. After he turned 18, he looked for a place of his own, but his situation was not getting better because he is not able to support himself yet financially. So he decided to drop out of school. But luckily, one of his teachers noticed his absences and failing grades, so he told her about situations. Luckily, she knew some resources for students like him and helped him to find a place to live temporarily until she found a program called La Vida Buena, which provided him free housing, which he now shares with other students so they won't be homeless. Jose dreams of becoming a computer system engineer one day and is going to be the first to graduate from his family. However, at 20 years old and a graduating immigrant, he is not sure on what to do. So he can go to college or other post-high school education opportunities. He is wishing that the school give him more guidance so he can achieve his dreams and be a more productive member of the society. He badly needs the support from school, which he cannot get from his parents. But he only got very limited information to prepare for his future. In a matter of a few years, Jose overcame the education and cultural adaptation challenges, but he is almost at the end of his journey in high school, and yet he still needs to overcome his greatest challenge, lack of education, lack of support from home and school. This lack of support needs to be solved right now because they play an important role not only in these young adults' post-high school education, but their life in general. Something needs to be done now to help them achieve the high expectations they have for themselves, their families, and this great nation. We need to remember that young people in this country, not considering their economic status, home language, sex, disability, or immigration status, should have the chance to learn and achieve. Home and school must provide a road to these students who are willing to work hard. Therefore, home and school supports must provide the graduation immigrants so they can have the chance to access post-high school education opportunities to better not only themselves, but also our society. Finally, graduation day should be an event that these students are to be excited about, not to fear. If they still don't have the necessary support from home and school at this time, like they don't have the resources to look for opportunities after high school, This is an emergency. They cannot call 911 for this. High school graduation is not an end for their lives story. It is just the beginning of another chapter. They can also get more education and more cultural adaptation if we can give them an answer as clear in the Texas summer. And the question is, I am graduating from high school in 17 days. Now what? Thank you.
At this time, please excuse the judges to determine a winning team. Please stay seated and enjoy the music from MacArthur Orchestra while we wait.
Welcome back, judges. Let's give the MacArthur String Orchestra one last round of applause.
Don't they look sharp? One more round of applause, please. So we are all one team. We are Team Irving, and we're all striving towards success. So in the spirit of our theme, don't hate, debate. Teachers and participants, please shake hands with each other. Don't hate, debate. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, the judges today have made the incredibly hard decision of determining today's winners. Judges, I don't know how you did it. I wouldn't have wanted your job today, but thank you for that. Before I announce the winners, I want to take a moment to recognize the fact that today has not been just about the 15 students that you see on the stage here before you. While they have worked really, really hard, tirelessly, it has not been only their words you have heard this afternoon. This event has truly been a collaborative effort as all of their classmates who are here with us today helped them with research, writing, and even with practice. I would like to take a moment to recognize all of the effort put forth by all of the participants. Every student in this auditorium has helped prepare the speakers you see on the stage. Let's give them one round of applause. Before we announce the group awards, we want to do something this year where we award individual, right? And so the first award is for personal impression, which includes punctuality, professional appearance, preparedness and confidence, comprehension of debate format, and respect for other teams. And so for personal impression, the award goes to Yami Benitez. Way to go, Yami! The next award is for presentation. For presentation, this includes audience engagement, stage presence, showmanship, knowledge of subject, terminology of the discipline, organization and presentation of ideas. And for presentation, the award goes to Nabil Velasquez Gonzalez. Irving High is rocking the house with individual awards. Okay, so here we go. The next award is for content, which includes presentation of resolution, real-world relevance, logical support of the prompt, all examples are clear, relevant, and detailed, convincing resolution. And this award for content goes to Bibi Yar from MacArthur. And our final individual award is for language. This includes few grammar errors, using verb tenses appropriately, and using appropriate vocabulary. And for language, the award goes to Leonardo Navas Varela. And the moment that we've all been waiting for. Are you ready? Oh yes, we are ready, right? Our third runner-up is the team from Irving High School. Dr. McLeod will present them with medals. Way to go, Irving High School. Thank you, Mr. Boyle, for putting the medals on them. Way to go, Irving High School. Should get to. Good. Okay, and this one will go really fast. So, our second runner-up is the team from MacArthur, which means Nimitz is the champion. Going. Congratulations to Juan, Monsi, Maria, Mauricio, and Leonardo. Way to go, Nimitz High School. Congratulations, Nimitz. One more thing.
Let's give the participants and the faculty advisors one final round of applause. Thank you everyone for coming to show your support of our students today. Dr. Parra, members of the board, Irving ISD faculty and staff, students, parents, and family members, thank you.
Again, we would also like to take a moment to recognize some very special people. Without them, this event wouldn't have been possible today. Miss Wendy Trammell Nimitz Assistant Principal and Miss Roxana Sorokzana Building Manager. Faculty Advisors, Susanna Uthman, Nimitz High School, John Bird. Irving High School, Melanie Rhodes, MacArthur High School. Miss Stephanie Sander and the MacArthur Orchestra. Wesley Williams and his team from Nimitz Viking View. Laurie Smith and her team from MacArthur K-Mac. And Caleb Broadstreet and his team from Irving High School, KRV. Our moderator, Teresa Spencer, and once again, our esteemed judges, thank you.
At this time, our student audience will head back to campus to continue their learning. Our debaters will be available for pictures and interviews in the foyer. Thank you.